The white colonial house standing in an upscale residential area of Connecticut was truly the epitome of the ideal American family. The lawn was perfectly manicured, colorful flowers bloomed at the front entrance, and it had the kind of appearance that made the neighbors envious. The Wilson family who lived in this house was known in the community as an exemplary family. Amanda, take a look at Sophia's report card. She got straight A's again this semester. On a Saturday evening, Linda Wilson proudly placed her daughter's report card on the table. As a former teacher, she was particularly passionate about her children's education. That's what we'd expect from a Harvard student. She's our pride and joy. Robert looked up from his newspaper and smiled. His expression, with his gray hair neatly combed back, showed deep affection for his youngest daughter. My economics professor gave me special praise for my recent paper. I dream of working on Wall Street someday. Sophia looked up at her sister with an angelic smile. With her beautiful blonde hair flowing over her shoulders and wearing a pristine white dress, she was exactly the image of the daughter her parents idealized. As an honor student in Harvard's economics department, she was always at the center of family conversations. That's wonderful, Sophia. You're special. Amanda responded to Linda's words with a gentle smile. As a marketing consultant who had achieved independent success, she often found herself in the role of listener within the family. With her dark brown hair pulled back and wearing a subdued navy blouse, she gave off a rather modest impression. Jason is coming too, isn't he? I'm really grateful to him for making Amanda happy. At Audrey's question, Amanda nodded happily. Jason McDonald was the CEO of an IT company and had been her boyfriend for 3 years since they met through mutual friends. He was sincere and caring and had been warmly welcomed by the family. The doorbell rang, and Jason arrived. The tall man had brought flowers as usual. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Linda, thank you for having me as always. Oh no. Jason. You're already part of the family. Jason returned Linda's words with a warm smile. However, his keen observational skills hadn't missed the subtle dynamics of this family. The calculating expressions that Sophia occasionally showed, the tendency of the parents to prioritize Sophia over Amanda, and most of all, Amanda's reserved attitude in front of her family made him feel a small sense of unease. Sophia, how's your recent internship going? When Jason spoke to Sophia, her eyes lit up for a moment. However, that sparkle seemed to contain something different from pure joy. It's very educational. But I'm worried about the high tuition costs and the burden it's placing on my parents. Robert and Linda immediately reacted to Sophia's words. You don't need to worry about such things. Your education is our top priority. That's right. Any sacrifice is worth it for your future. With their parents' enthusiastic support, Sophia showed a grateful expression. However, to Jason, that expression looked like acting. Meanwhile, Amanda quietly listened to the family conversation. Her success was rarely the topic of discussion, and she often remained in her sister's shadow. Amanda's work is going well too, isn't it? When Jason deliberately brought up the topic, Amanda happily replied. Yes, I've secured a contract with a new client, and a big project will start next month. That's wonderful news. Linda said this, but her interest was clearly different from when Sophia's topics came up. As dinner began, the conversation naturally focused on Sophia's university life and future plans. Amanda watched her beloved family's happy expressions while feeling deep satisfaction in being able to remain part of this warm family. The family bonds built over many years, especially the intimate relationship with her sister, were the greatest treasure of her life. On a crisp October morning, Amanda was visiting Connecticut General Hospital for her annual checkup. In recent years, she had become more conscious of health management and never missed her yearly examinations. Standing in front of the machine in the mammography examination room, she was thinking about her travel plans with Jason for next month. I need to talk to you about your test results. A week later, Dr. Chin from radiology approached Amanda with a serious expression. His voice lacked its usual brightness. Is there a problem? Amanda's heart began beating rapidly. From the doctor's expression, she instinctively knew it wasn't good news. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but we found a 2-centimeter tumor in your left breast. The biopsy results show malignant breast cancer. It's stage 2. The world seemed to stop for a moment. Amanda sat in her chair, desperately trying to understand the doctor's words. The word cancer echoed in her head, and reality began to feel distant. How serious is stage 2? Fortunately, there's no spread to the lymph nodes. However, considering the size and malignancy of the tumor, surgery is needed as soon as possible. After that, we recommend a combination of chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Dr. Chen began explaining the details of the treatment plan. When he combined the costs of surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and postoperative care, the total would be approximately $150,000. $150,000. Amanda whispered. It wasn't a small amount by any means, but it wasn't beyond what her savings and insurance could cover. However, rather than such financial calculations, the reality of cancer overwhelmed her. In the hospital parking lot, Amanda called Jason with trembling hands. Jason, I'm at the hospital now. There's something I need to talk to you about. 30 minutes later, Jason rushed to the hospital. Seeing Amanda's complexion, he immediately sensed the worst. What's wrong, Amanda? It's cancer. Stage 2 breast cancer. I need surgery right away. Jason was speechless for a moment. Then he held Amanda tightly. It's going to be okay. I'm here with you. We'll find the best doctors and cure this. They said the treatment will cost $150,000. There are parts that insurance won't cover. Don't worry about the money. I'll cover the entire amount. Your health is the top priority. Amanda cried at Jason's immediate offer. However, part of her heart strongly wanted to consult with her family first. Thank you, Jason. But I want to talk to my parents and Sophia first. As a family, I want us to overcome this difficulty together. That night, Amanda headed to her family home. While waiting for the family to gather in the living room, she repeatedly rehearsed the words of confession in her head. I have something important to tell everyone. Seeing Amanda's serious expression, the family atmosphere changed completely. Robert turned off the TV, Linda put down her knitting. Sophia looked up from her textbook and stared at her sister. I've been diagnosed with cancer. Stage 2 breast cancer. Silence dominated the room. Linda covered her mouth with her hand, Robert sighed deeply. Sophia showed a surprised expression, but to Amanda, her sister's reaction seemed delayed by a moment. Amanda, how terrible. Linda was the first to speak. Tears welled up in the mother's eyes. According to the doctor, I need early surgery and treatment. The treatment cost will be about $150,000. $150,000. Robert repeated the number. In his mind as a banker, calculations of the household budget immediately began. But the whole family will support you, so don't worry. Sophia's words sounded kind, but Amanda sensed a subtle change in her sister's expression. For a moment, a troubled or calculating expression seemed to cross her face. Jason offered to provide the full amount of financial support. But I want to overcome this as a family, with everyone working together. At Amanda's words, her parents' expressions changed in a complex way. Robert frowned, Linda averted her gaze. Jason is a good person, but this is a family matter, isn't it? At Linda's words, Amanda felt hope. She thought the family would unite to face the difficulty together. That's right. Let's discuss it as a family first. Let's talk about it in detail this weekend. At Robert's suggestion, Amanda showed a relieved expression. I'll tell Jason that we want to solve this as a family. I think he'll understand. Yes, we should respect your feelings. Sophia's words sounded supportive, but different emotions dwelt in the depths of her eyes. The calculation that by solving the problem as a family only, they could exclude Jason, a powerful supporter, had already begun in her head. The next day, Amanda told Jason about the family's decision. "I want to respect your family. But if anything happens, don't hesitate to tell me." At Jason's understanding attitude, Amanda felt deep gratitude. At the same time, her trust in her family deepened even more. During the few days until the weekend, Amanda spent her time with her family's support as her emotional anchor. She researched treatment details, had multiple meetings with doctors, and prepared for surgery. Her heart was full of anxiety, but the reassurance of having her beloved family by her side eased that anxiety. Meanwhile, Sophia was secretly having individual conversations with her parents. She skillfully guided topics about university tuition, future careers, and the family's economic situation. On Saturday evening, a heavy silence hung over the Wilson family dining room. The space that would normally be filled with family laughter was now enveloped in tension. On the table lay the treatment plan and cost estimate that Amanda had brought from the doctor. The figure of $150,000 seemed to glitter coldly on the documents. "Well then, let me explain the specifics." Amanda began speaking in a trembling voice. Over the past week, she had thoroughly researched the details of the treatment. She had sought second opinions from multiple doctors and had worked tirelessly to find the optimal treatment method. "First, I'll have a partial mastectomy in the second week of next month. After that, I'll need 6 rounds of chemotherapy and 5 weeks of radiation therapy. The total treatment period is expected to be about 8 months." Robert, with his banker's habits, was examining the cost breakdown in detail. Surgery would cost $45,000, chemotherapy $60,000, radiation therapy $30,000, and postoperative care and medications $15,000. Even after deducting the portion covered by insurance, the out-of-pocket expenses would amount to $120,000. "I've also confirmed the insurance coverage. Some of the latest treatment methods aren't covered by insurance, but they're important treatments that significantly improve survival rates." At Amanda's explanation, Linda showed a complex expression. She was torn between wanting to prioritize her daughter's health as a mother and being concerned about the serious impact on the household finances. "It really is a difficult situation." Sophia spoke up in a worried voice. She was wearing a pristine light pink cardigan and showing her usual angelic expression. However, in the depths of those beautiful blue eyes, cold calculation was at work. "But we also have to think about my university tuition, don't we? Harvard's annual cost is $50,000, and I need $100,000 for the remaining 2 years. When Sophia's words were thrown onto the dinner table, the air became even heavier. Amanda felt uncomfortable that her sister was treating her crisis situation and tuition fees as equivalent, but she tried to understand it as words coming from concern about the family's financial burden. "Sophia, your sister's treatment should be the top priority right now." Linda said this as if admonishing her daughter, but her voice contained hesitation. "Of course, Mom. But we also have to think realistically, don't we? Amanda is a strong person, so I'm sure she can manage on her own." Sophia's words sounded like they expressed trust in her sister on the surface, but in reality, she was skillfully manipulating her parents' psychology. Since childhood, she had mastered the art of controlling her parents' emotions to get her own demands met. "I want you to think about my future. If I get a job on Wall Street, I'll be able to support the entire family in the future. But if I drop out of university, that dream will be lost forever." Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes. Those tears were perfectly calculated, but that's not how they appeared to her parents. "Sophia." A change appeared in Robert's voice. His concern for his daughter's future was gradually changing his judgment. "But I'm really worried." However, didn't Jason offer his support? "He's a successful CEO, and since he loves you, I'm sure he'd be happy to help." With these words, Sophia skillfully shifted responsibility to an external party. She presented the logic that the family didn't need to bear the burden and could leave it to Jason, wrapped in kind words. Amanda was confused. Jason had indeed offered support, but she wanted to confirm family bonds. As a blood-related family, she wanted to overcome difficulties together and build deeper unity. "I wanted us to support each other as a family." It's not about money, I need emotional support. At Amanda's earnest plea, a moment of silence fell. However, what broke that silence was cold reality. Amanda. Linda began speaking in a heavy tone. Her usual warm maternal expression had disappeared, replaced by a cold and calculating look. Think realistically. Your sister's tuition comes first. Sophia's future is an investment that affects the entire family's future. Handle it yourself. Her mother's words pierced Amanda's heart like an icy blade. She couldn't believe these were words from the mother who she had believed would love her unconditionally for 32 years. That's right, Amanda. Father Robert continued. His voice reflected the cool judgment of a banker, but there wasn't a trace of fatherly warmth in it. Your sister's future is more important. Sophia is still young and has unlimited potential. You've already lived a good portion of your life. We can't waste money. Waste money. Amanda whispered her father's words. She had never dreamed that the treatment cost to save her life would be called waste money. I'm sorry. Sophia stood up and approached Amanda. With tears in her beautiful face, she hugged her sister. I really want to help too. But considering our family situation, it can't be helped. You're strong, so you'll surely overcome this. You have Jason too. Sophia's embrace felt warm, but Amanda had the illusion that coldness was being transmitted from her sister's body. And over Sophia's shoulder, Amanda saw a briefly satisfied smile cross her sister's face that no one else noticed. But we're family, aren't we? Amanda's final plea echoed hollowly. That's exactly why we need to make realistic decisions. Linda's response completely shattered Amanda's heart. Listen, our love hasn't changed. We're just prioritizing my education this time. When I succeed in the future, I'll repay you. Sophia's words showed hope for the future on the surface, but completely ignored the current emergency situation. Amanda stood up. While quietly putting away the treatment plan from the table, she looked at each family member's face one by one. It was the moment she understood that the family love she had believed in was an illusion. I won't say anything. Amanda whispered quietly. She didn't express intense anger or sadness, nor did she blame her family. Only deep disappointment and despair dominated her heart. Amanda, please understand our decision. Linda's voice contained a faint sense of guilt, but her determination remained unchanged. Amanda put the documents in her bag and quietly stood up. The family watched her retreating figure with complex expressions. Robert and Linda felt guilty, but they tried to have confidence in their judgment, supporting Sophia's decision. Meanwhile, Sophia was inwardly certain of victory. The first stage of isolating her sister from the family had succeeded. In her plan, this would make Amanda give up dependence on the family and she could monopolize her parents' love and resources. When Amanda left the Wilson house, stars were twinkling in the Connecticut night sky, but she couldn't see their beauty. Gripping her cell phone in the car, she called Jason. Jason, can you come pick me up? From the tremor in her voice over the phone, Jason immediately understood the seriousness of the situation. I'm coming right now. Where are you? 30 minutes later, Jason's car arrived in front of the Wilson house. When Amanda got in the passenger seat, she told him everything. Her parents' cruel refusal, Sophia's calculated manipulation, and the deep despair she felt. Whatever your family is like, I love you. Jason stopped the car and held Amanda tightly. Don't worry about money at all. I'll cover the entire treatment cost. All you need is the best medical care and love. The following week, Jason immediately prepared the $150,000 as promised. He sold some of his company's stock and organized the best medical team for Amanda. Connecticut's most skilled breast surgeon, an experienced oncologist, and a nursing team with an excellent reputation for patient care would handle Amanda's treatment. Miss Wilson, fortunately it was detected early, so the prognosis is very good. Dr. Rodriguez, the attending physician, gave reassuring explanations during the final consultation before surgery. Jason went to the hospital every day and stayed by Amanda's side. The surgery was successful, and chemotherapy progressed smoothly. Although Amanda's physical strength temporarily declined, thanks to Jason's devoted care and the best medical treatment, her recovery progressed at a pace that exceeded the doctor's expectations. However, during treatment, Jason was concerned not only about Amanda's physical recovery. He didn't miss that the trauma from her family's betrayal was having a serious impact on her mental state. "Amanda, I sense something unnatural about your family's behavior." On the night after the third round of chemotherapy ended, Jason carefully brought up the topic. "Sophia's reaction just doesn't sit right with me. When I think back on that girl's words and actions, they seem calculated." Amanda shook her head. The fear of completely losing love and trust in her family still dominated her heart. "Sophia is just young, so she can't make realistic judgments. My parents also made a difficult decision considering the financial burden." However, Jason's suspicions grew stronger day by day. During Amanda's hospitalization, he secretly began an investigation. Using his connections as an IT company CEO, he hired a private investigator to look into Sophia's past behavior patterns. "Mr. McDonald, we've made some interesting discoveries." 2 weeks later, investigator Johnson visited Jason's office. He held a thick file in his hand. "We investigated Sophia Wilson's high school records. Surprisingly, there's evidence that she psychologically manipulated multiple classmates." The file contained detailed records of how Sophia had isolated a girl who was her best friend in high school and stolen that girl's boyfriend. Furthermore, testimonies from university classmates revealed that Sophia was skillfully manipulating other students to create situations favorable to herself. And this is the decisive evidence. Johnson took out a recording device. This is a voice message Sophia sent to a close friend at university. It was recorded last week. When he pressed the play button, Sophia's voice flowed out. However, that voice was completely different from the gentle voice heard in front of family. "Lisa, can you believe it? My sister got cancer. But isn't this the perfect opportunity? I can finally manipulate my parents completely and drive her out of the family." The recording continued. "I've been planning this for so long. If Amanda disappears, all of my parents' love and wealth will be mine. Cancer, what perfect timing. With this incident, she'll completely give up on the family." Sophia's cruel laughter echoed from the recording device. "My parents are really simple, you know. Just by showing a few tears and expressing concern about the future, I can easily manipulate them. Amanda is probably hurt right now, feeling betrayed by the family. It's pitiful, but I don't need her in my life anymore." Jason clenched his fists. He couldn't believe that the sister Amanda loved and trusted was such a cold and calculating person. "There's other evidence too." Johnson opened another file. "We recovered emails and text messages that Sophia sent over the past 2 years. She consistently talked to friends about plans to eliminate her sister. The email content was shocking. Sophia had systematically manipulated her parents' psychology and conducted long-term operations to reduce their affection for Amanda. She had deliberately guided her parents to undervalue Amanda's work success while excessively emphasizing her own potential, reversing their positions within the family. Furthermore, we investigated her behavior at Harvard University. Multiple professors have reported that Sophia psychologically manipulates and excludes other students to elevate her own position." Jason organized all the evidence and began preparing to tell Amanda the truth. However, he needed to plan carefully. He had to think deeply about how to convey this shocking truth to Amanda in her currently vulnerable situation. On the day the final round of chemotherapy ended, the doctor declared Amanda's complete recovery. The cancer cells had been completely removed, and there were no signs of metastasis. "You've shown miraculous recovery, Amanda," Dr. Rodriguez reported with a smile. "Congratulations, Amanda." Jason embraced her while firming his resolve in his heart. Now that she had achieved physical recovery, it was time to tell her the truth and heal her emotional wounds. That night, at Jason's apartment, he presented all the evidence to Amanda. Recordings, emails, testimonies, and investigation results. Amanda initially refused to believe it. However, the weight of the evidence was undeniable. Sophia. Amanda whispered in a trembling voice. I thought she loved me. She was only using you, Amanda. She exploited your unconditional love and trust for her own plans. Learning the truth, cold anger sprouted in Amanda's heart along with sadness. When she understood that the family love she had believed in for 32 years had been distorted by her sister's skillful manipulation, something changed within her. Jason, we have the right to revenge, don't we? A light of determination that had never been seen before dwelt in Amanda's eyes. Let's erase everything they loved. Jason took her hand. The two began planning revenge against Sophia and the parents who had been deceived by her manipulation. 6 months later, warm sunlight was shining down on Connecticut. Amanda and Jason's revenge plan had been more effective than they had imagined. The first blow was a report to Harvard University. Jason submitted the evidence of Sophia's psychological manipulation that he had collected, records of harassment of other students, and evidence of academic misconduct to the university authorities. As a result of the investigation, Sophia was expelled for violating the student code of conduct. We are revoking Sophia Wilson's enrollment. On the day the official notification from the university arrived, Robert and Linda were stunned. It was the moment when their daughter's mask of being a perfect student was torn away. The second blow was the destruction of Sophia's friendships. Amanda anonymously sent the cruel messages and recordings that Sophia had sent to her friends to those same friends. When friends heard words like, "My sister's cancer is the perfect opportunity," they left Sophia one by one. And most decisive was the exposure of the truth to her parents. Amanda and Jason organized all the evidence and presented the full scope of Sophia's years-long psychological manipulation to Robert and Linda. This is the true identity of the daughter you loved. Sophia's voice flowing from the recording device completely devastated her parents' hearts. I've been planning this for so long. If Amanda disappears, all of my parents' love and wealth will be mine. Linda covered her face with her hands and began crying violently. Robert froze like stone and lost his words. They couldn't accept the reality that the daughter they had loved and trusted for over 20 years was actually a cold manipulator. Amanda, what have we done? Linda began apologizing in a trembling voice, but Amanda coldly shook her head. It's too late now, Mother. You prioritized my sister's tuition when I might have died. Accept the consequences of that choice. From that day, the Wilson family completely collapsed. Sophia lost her university, lost her friends, and lost the most important thing, her parents' love. Robert and Linda continued to be tormented by regret over losing their daughter and irreparable guilt toward Amanda. Meanwhile, Amanda had discovered true family love. Her wedding ceremony with Jason was held on a warm spring day. Though they had no blood ties, their bond connected by unconditional love and support was stronger than any blood relationship. I'm really glad I met you. On their wedding night, Jason said while holding Amanda's hand. Me too. You taught me what real family is. Amanda's answer came from her heart. Through the trial of cancer, she learned the emptiness of relationships without love despite blood ties, and the preciousness of relationships bound by unconditional love despite no blood ties. 2 years later, Sophia was living a lonely life, struggling with mental problems and receiving counseling. Meanwhile, Robert and Linda tried to repair their relationship, but Amanda never forgave them. They would continue to regret their choice for the rest of their lives. However, Amanda and Jason built a happy married life. Their home overflowed with true love that transcended blood ties. Supporting each other in difficult times, sharing joys. That was the true image of family. Family isn't determined by blood ties, but by bonds of the heart. One night, Amanda whispered in Jason's arms. That's right. And we're building the best family. True family love based on affection and devotion, not relying on blood relationships. That was the most precious treasure Amanda had gained through life's greatest trial.